Welcome to the Becoming Sovereign podcast put on by a Sovereign. With me today, I have someone who was introduced to me through a former guest, Avi Burra, and friend as well. And with me today is Zack from IndeeHub, which is spelled INDEE Hub. And the website is indeehub, indeehub.studio. And I have actually had the pleasure of watching some videos there. The aforementioned Avi Burra, I watched his Finding Home series, all 4 episodes. Really enjoyed all of them. And I just love the platform, this idea, the value for value verse, whatever you want to call it. But just simply the ability to be able to click on something, log in with a Nostr profile, which is an option. There are other options here, by the way. Most of the stuff I'm talking about is what I chose to do. There are other options available. Log in with a Nostr, so as not to scare people away. You can log in with an email, don't worry, and pay with your credit card, so don't be scared. But being able, for me, to be able to log in with a Nostr extension and pay a Lightning invoice into a wallet, and then be able to stream sats back to the platform, to the producer and everything. It was such a cool experience, and honestly, how I would love every experience to be. Like, I would love to go into Prime Video and not have a subscription, but just a platform. And do you want to stream sats to this platform? Do you want to pay for this? Do you want to rent this series? And personally, I just thought it was so cool. I loved it. What you're building, Zack, is, to me, the future of how all of this is going to go. I think everything eventually, maybe not even in my lifetime, but eventually will all just be a streaming service, because it just makes sense. Trying to do accruals or guesses or running credit risk of running 30 days of your service and then getting payment later. It's all fraught with perils that end up in losses for someone. They may be small, but at the end of the day, there's always losses embedded in that. And so I think everything is just, you're going to be forced to stream, just like you're forced to get insurance to drive a car and all these other things, forced to get insurance to get a mortgage from the bank. The companies are just going to say, this is the best thing for me because it offers me the smallest amount of loss. And I think that's where everything's headed. But in the interim, it is definitely a sort of cypherpunk outside the system. We can fund those we want to fund ethos as well. So, Zack, I've rambled a little bit, but I just thought it was so cool. I was so excited to do it. It was such a fun experience. And so you can tell I'm a little giddy about my experience having used it. So welcome to the show, and thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me on, and I'm always happy to hear an excited preamble like that. That's what we're here for. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. We are still extremely early. I've been on this now for a long time, and I thought, I was having panic attacks like in 2018. Like I'm late. Like, oh my God, here we are, 2026. And it's like just getting started. We're really like the original vision that I've kind of had and held and been building towards really just became possible, just technically possible a couple of weeks ago. And I've just been kind of biding my time and just trying to not go broke and just wait for the technology to get to like where I need it to be. And so it's I don't know, it's great to hear your enthusiasm about it. I really appreciate it, and I know there's always some bumps, and like I say, we're early, but it is exciting. It is an exciting time.
Yeah, the UX is not perfect, but that's to be expected in the early alpha/beta stages of these things. And listen, I get it. I understand. I appreciate what people are building, what they're doing. And for me, it's, and you and I have gone back and forth on text or Signal, or I don't know, or text, or Signal chats considered text? I don't know. I guess that's a weird philosophical question.
It's all
But
data, bro.
yeah, exactly. But if it's encrypted and not through a carrier, I don't know. Anyways, we've been going back and forth, and I've provided some feedback and everything, and as I've really appreciated your response, and I find it cool too to be able to be involved and hopefully helping out a little bit, and ultimately improving the UX over time. But along that line, what was the technological thing that changed that allowed you to sort of get over the hump that you were experiencing?
Okay, so I'm just gonna ramble and rant here, and then if I like totally don't answer your question, just
All
like
right, I'm
push
going on
me
mute.
back in that direction.
Tap the screen when you're done. All right.
Yeah, he's taking a nap. I'm now just in a room in a car by myself, talking to myself. Now that's chaos. Name that movie, I'll give you 1,000 sats. Not you, Brandon, the guests, obviously.
Of course.
Okay, so, man, okay, so this is just kind of a journey, for I guess any founder, any I don't know, tech person at this point, any founder in the Bitcoin space. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a software engineer. My background is in filmmaking. I was an actor for the first half of my career, and in the second half, I was behind the camera, editing, producing, shooting, directing, just whatever, just doing kind of everything. I've spent my life basically on set, my professional life. And, as I stumbled into the Bitcoin rabbit hole in 2017, and the idea of, so you got to keep in context here. Like I was like negative, like zero respect for anything financial or business related. Like I was like, put me in a theater, put me on stage. I'm fine being in a dark room all day rehearsing. I really don't care what the fuck is going on anywhere else. Like you're all fucking criminals. Like which I still is mostly true.
Yeah,
but
I was going to say that you were right about that.
I didn't know why, which is really the problem. It was just like that, like angry, disgruntled kind of leftist, But
Many
anyway,
such
so many, and thank God I'm out. So all of this is to say that what I'm trying to get at really is that my journey went from zero knowledge of software engineering whatsoever, zero financial knowledge, other than I started to generate a general understanding of economics, which is to say, I like Thomas Sowell's definition of this, the allocation of scarce resources that have alternative uses. So as I started running my businesses, production businesses, I started to have, I get like lots of revelations. But Bitcoin really sent me down the financial rabbit hole, that because it explained everything that I had experienced, particularly in the film industry, also because that's the only thing I did. So it was really my only frame of reference, but it was especially astute and accurate with respect to why things were broken in the industry. So, which I couldn't have, it took me 15 years to like pinpoint that, it's like something's like just not right here. Something's broken. I don't know what it is. Anyway, so all of this is to say that I had no financial background, no software engineering background. And the thought occurred to me in 2017, 2018, okay, you can, what if we can route money like we route data, like, split it into little packages and stream it in little tiny bits? Like, that's kind of an interesting idea. And of course I was like, well, that would be cool for movies. Like, and again, I'm just very like cinema centric. Like everything is great for movies, like, but this is the only thing I know. But it really is true. Years after having really thought through all of this, it is a very unique medium, a digital medium, whereby you necessarily watch a movie from A to Z. You necessarily consume it linearly, and so it's totally appropriate for a streaming payment model. So anyway, I, of course, was like, well, someone's going to do this. I don't know, blah, blah, blah. I'm not a software engineer. This would be sweet. I'll just pay attention. 2020 rolls around. Nobody was really doing it. There were a few platforms that were trying to do it, but it was mostly ICO, shitcoiny stuff that really didn't actually solve any of the problems that filmmakers had, and probably just introduced more complexity that especially independent filmmakers are like not gonna like it's not happening. So 2020 rolls around and like nobody's doing it, and I'm basically jobless at this point. So I'm like, well, fuck. I guess I'll just nothing else to do. I'll figure out how to do this. So long story longer. Basically, I did the original proof of concept, not even on Bitcoin. Bitcoin wasn't mature enough. Lightning wasn't mature enough. I did it on a something called Interledger. I don't even know if it's still around. It wasn't a token. Yeah, it was the XRP guys. What's his name? Stefan Thomas, who is one of the architects of the XRP ledger. Just a really smart software engineer, kind of built this, and it wasn't a blockchain. There was no token. It was just a protocol that was totally currency agnostic. And it was dope. Like, it worked great. It never took off because that's hard. It's like extremely difficult. But it was the only thing at the time that really could split payments up, and you could do payment channels with many thousands of transactions a second. And so I did that as a proof of concept. And right around this time, so let's say this is 2020, I was going from, kind of crypto normie to Bitcoin maximalist. This took about 3 years for me to like really make the transition. And so right about the end of the transition, I'm starting to build Indie and basically the limitation on Bitcoin at the time was that Lightning was not sophisticated enough. And there was absolutely no chance in hell that I was going to develop like a Lightning channel. I was like, okay, so that's not happening. And furthermore, at the time, there was a real political concern, which is to say, like, this is all to answer your question, which is what were the limitations? The limitation was A, Lightning, but it was also B, politics. It was unclear at the time, or I should say even less clear than it is now, whether or not you would be considered a money transmission business. You're a bank. Are you in charge of customer funds? So there was massive technical complexity with Lightning, which really, again, at that time, it was still quite immature. And there was the political risk. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll just build what I need. I know I need to build, I know I need to build a platform sort of regardless of payments. I need, a CDN essentially to serve movies and do the transcoding and have some profiles and all the stuff that I wanted to do. So I was like, all right, I'll start building that and like just pray that something magically cool happens by the time I'm done. And it like totally did happen. Right about the time I needed to start plugging payments in, Zebedee and Strike were like kind of the two of the first companies that said, hey, you can plug into our stack and we'll provide Lightning payments for you. So early on, we kind of were going back and forth between Zebedee and Strike. And this is also when Lightspark was being born. This was all kind of happening around the same time. And so he said, cool, I can do the Lightning payment thing, at least to filmmakers. But the issue with that was still the ultimate vision was always audience wallet, filmmaker wallet, direct streaming of value, a direct energetic relationship is really what I've been trying, is the ultimate vision. And so the Strike payments was kind of an in-between. Audience members still technically really needed to either rent it over Lightning, which was possible, easy peasy, or fiat payments, in which case we kind of had to do this thing, which we might do anyway. I'll get back to that later. But basically, fiat monthly payments, subscription, we sit on a pile of cash, we track what users are watching, and then we make payouts. But that's that model's maybe only really useful for people who are streaming like a lot. TV shows in particular, like if you're binge watching Game of Thrones or whatever, like you don't want to spend like $600 on a month on streaming TV shows or whatever. So there's a place for that model, but the ultimate vision and the very baseline of the platform is to have that direct relationship. So to finally answer your question, there was really no product out that could split payments as quickly and as cheaply as I want to do it on the video side of things on a per second basis. There was no technology to do it. And then Breeze and Lightspark had this $100 million baby or whatever. Whatever they're doing, whatever technical wizardry they're up to over there is legitimately fucking impressive. Like, those guys are, and look, hey, maybe it's not, and I'm just an idiot, but like, I'm pretty sure it is. Like, it's like what they're doing is fucking magical. So,
I mean, you've been working on solving this problem for 5 years, and they gave you a solution that you couldn't find anywhere else. So I don't think you were just completely. I don't think there was some easy answer out there that you just completely missed and then found this thing. So.
No, well said. And in fact, I actually hit up Roy literally the day they announced their first round with Ego Death. I hit him up and I was like, he had a couple blog posts out, and I was like, whatever you're building, that's what I need. Like, let's fucking go. And of course, like, it took them 5 years to like like really get the thing, and I had to do a bunch of other roundabout crap anyway. So it's been literally like this insanely long journey to get to it. But basically, at the end of the day, there was no ability to give audience members their own wallet that they control, that they can leave, that I'm not managing, and they just make payments per second watched. So we're basically here. You know, it's kind of the starting line.
That's awesome. And so as I was doing it, I was streaming, and as I mentioned to you, I got kind of booted off, and then came back, was able to get back. It took me back to my the previous place I watched. So I guess obviously ultimately you want to have it where you're just streaming the whole way through and the payments go through. And so what's sort of been the hang up on that front? Is that a tech issue as well, or is that a design issue?
Your particular issue, I'm not 100%. I kind of have that one out to engineering, but plenty of people have been able to stream and haven't had that technical issue. So
okay, maybe it's on me. Maybe I'm the problem.
I mean, no, my guess is it's something to do with like a wallet caching issue, where our system has to like, we can't just like send constant like, is your wallet full? Is your wallet full? And then there really is actually a little bit of a delay that we have to do, because, for instance, and we don't have anything on the platform like this at the moment, but when we get to where I want to go, there's a very real possibility that a film might have 500 or even 1,000 contributors. You go do a crowd fund or like a Reg CF, and you get 1,000 people to give you $50 or $100 or whatever. You might have 1,000 people on the cap table, and so let's say you're only charging $5 for a movie or $10 for a movie, divided by 1,000. Whatever that percentage is, or even less than 1%. Well, Bitcoin's already too expensive to even send a payment that cheap. And we're going to get stable coins on there as well. So divide, hopefully there's 8 decimal points on a dollar, in which case that's doable. The point is that there's still a little bit of a delay, and there's still definitely some stuff that we need to decide is the most smooth with respect to releasing payments, or I should say triggering payments. We're not holding anything. So, it's a little rough around the edges, but definitely plenty of people have been able to work it out. And I'm doing like a total, the UI that's on there right now that you saw was literally just whipped up with no consideration at all, just to see if the tech worked. And so I have a whole,
good, but yeah,
it's close, but I have a whole design system, and I'm slowly, like, page by page, making sure that everything is consistent. And, we have a whole new, like I said, we're really kind of at the beginning stages here. So what I want is for audience members or filmmakers to essentially decide their base currency, right? Because there's going to be, filmmakers really they don't care. they don't necessarily care about Bitcoin or want to learn anything about it. And so they're going to say, look, can I just have dollars? And we say yes. So just decide in your account, go to your settings, preferred currency, preferred unit dollar, and then our entire UI will have to change accordingly. So we want audience members to be able to pay in whatever they want. We want filmmakers to be able to receive whatever they want. So it's definitely a UX challenge, but doable.
Tug of UX war.
Yeah.
So along those lines, who so far has the majority of the people you've been working with been Bitcoiners, people sort of from this value for value ecosystem, or is it independent people? Is it a different group altogether? What's been sort of the majority of the people you've been working with so far?
I've been trying to take advantage of home field advantage here. Like, Bitcoiners get it. They're tolerant. We all know this is new tech. And there's just very few people who are going to be, such as yourself, right, enthusiastic about saying, hey, this is cool. Here's some notes, I'm going to take some time out of my day. Most people are like, no, So definitely spending these kind of like alpha beta periods with Bitcoiners in particular. And a lot of that also is the payment side of things, right? Because there's just not that many filmmakers who are Bitcoin native or totally Bitcoin centric. I mean, very, very few. Like, certainly nothing you could stand an industry up on. So I'm working out as many technical issues I can with Bitcoiners. Once we get stable coins involved and the UI is up and people can, it just looks like the app is in dollars, then I can really start going out to filmmakers and say, hey, you don't have to create an account anywhere else. You have a dollar account with us. You have a Bitcoin account with us. You can do whatever you want. Like, that extra leap is extremely challenging, is an extremely challenging sell to filmmakers. But I can say this with confidence. I have demoed this for a lot of people and a lot of filmmakers. And the second a filmmaker sees like their account going up while somebody's watching per second, they're like, oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go,
Yeah, this is incredible. So along those lines, can you do streaming payments from the credit card, or do you have to do... No, okay.
No.
Yeah, so okay, that tech doesn't exist. So the only way you would be able to do the streaming payments would either be Bitcoin or a stable coin.
Yeah.
Okay. And then but the rental option, you can do that. That's kind of just like a paywall, right? Like,
yeah. And so it's kind of interesting. Like, this was a little bit of our back and forth. And so it's interesting to hear different people have different use cases or expectations. My vision for it is like, let's do away with the rental entirely, because, dollar for dollar, assuming the tech assuming it's accurate, it's the same price. And so let's just not have the audience member have to take a risk of paying $4 or $10 or $15 on something they might not like. And so just have your wallet loaded up and just start watching. And if it's captivating and you end up watching the whole thing, then like, it was worth it. And if it sucks, you stop watching and the filmmaker doesn't get paid. And like, that's a properly functioning market, Now, of course, rentals, there is a justification for a longer term unlimited playback. So, fair enough. And then, yeah.
Or maybe you even have
there.
Yeah, maybe you even have like a convert option where I'm streaming to start, but it's like, okay, I'm hooked, I'm in, buy the whole thing or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. This all gets down to interesting kind of unit economics, right? Like, it really could, it sounds so simple, but then it really just changes like the incentives that everybody has to think about. So I was talking with Avi about this, and he said something that kind of was surprising, and he's like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say along those lines, hopefully this will help with your point here. But like, I found myself, I would get to the credits and I'd be like, I don't care. I'm out, So I was seriously like, now, actually, it's funny because with Avi's, I was kind of like, oh, I know some of these names. I want to keep watching. But if it was just some Hollywood movie or whatever that was there, I 100% the second the credits started, I would be out. So, I don't know if that matters to people who are doing crowdfunding or even producers. Maybe you put it in before the last scene. I don't know, but it was just like a weird thing. I realized sort of incentive to me was like my incentive is to not watch the credits because I normally wouldn't care.
Yeah. Exactly. It's exactly that. It's exactly stuff like that where we start to rethink it, and it makes sense and it's fair, and we should rethink this, right? Like, credits existed in a totally different time, with a totally different expectation, a totally different economic incentive system. There's no reason. Like, I've thought about that a number of times, and it's like, I hope we get to a point where we don't roll credits at the end anyway. The film should just have every single person who's involved baked in. And if you want to go see the cast and crew, you just go check it out, and you can scan their profiles and click on their names, and like, it's there forever. Like, there's really no reason for a credit roll anymore at all. Like, frankly.
Well, yeah, that's true. Back in the day, they had the credits there because you had no way of looking it up. You had no clue. But now you can search all that stuff if you want to. So I agree. Let's get rid of the credits. Credits are done.
Credits are out.
Yeah.
Bail.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So then you have interesting stuff, right? Like, in my mind, if you have, I would be one to suggest to filmmakers, if you want to do a rental, the rental should be a little bit more expensive. I don't know how much more expensive, but let's say 30%, 30 or 40%, because you're offering an unlimited playback. I rent a movie. I don't watch it 3 times in a day. Like I watch it once, like that's it, but maybe there's people who are like on repeat. I don't know. But if you're going to do the rental, in my mind, it makes sense to say, hey, the rental, because you have unlimited playback for X amount of days, charge 20 or 30 or 40% more for it. The streaming should be the cheapest amount, and then I've had this conversation with a couple of people who had points that I really hadn't considered, which was like, well, from a filmmaker's perspective, I would discount the rental. I'd rather have the guaranteed income.
That's exactly the thought that just came in my head.
Yeah, but then that's a tall ask for audience members, right? Because you're kind of saying, hey, I want the big fish, but it's like, really, you want a lot of little fish. You want it to be less of a risk for people to click on it and watch it. Somebody starts getting anxiety, like, oh, $5, $5. Like, just remove that, and you're going to make more money on just having an open gate, in my opinion. But this is new. I don't know. We'll have to test it out and check out the data and see what's happening.
Yeah, in theory. Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting, because in theory, right? Like, you would want more people to start, and maybe if your movie sucks, you want more people to do the rental. But if you have a good movie, then you want people to stream more. So maybe there's even incentive to price based on the director or the movie makers or the producers' view of their own movie.
Yeah.
Maybe you have like an information market on how good the movie is based on the spread between the streaming amount and the rental amount.
I really do want to bring back market signals. We're so far away from reality in the fiat hellscape that we find ourselves in, and with movies it's the same thing, right? Like, back in the day, not that long ago, by the way, we had this thing. It was called the box office. Okay. You went and you looked at it, and it was literally just like, what movie made a fuck ton of money? I'll go see that one because the risk is low of me being bored. Like, it was that simple. Yeah. Now they hide all this is because basically everything fucking sucks anyway.
Oh,
and pardon my French,
terrible. No, please swear away. Say whatever you want.
But it's like, I want to bring the box office back on IndieHub as like the primary method of sussing out what is good and what is bad. And you got to have some differentiating metrics, right? Like, it can't just be necessarily largest grossing. It could say like most sats per minute. There you could splice it up a bunch of different ways, but I just want to bring back price signals so people can just very quickly go say like, hey, what isn't dog shit? What is dog shit? And then truly, like, I'm not under any illusions here, man. I've been in this business a long time. Most people do not have a clue how many movies get made every year. And let's look, most of them are bad. Like, I'm talking indies. Like, there's some gems. There are phenomenal movies being made, and there's phenomenal talent that's being left on the side of the road. But there's a lot of trash. Now,
it's like podcasting.
Yeah, man, that's podcasting totally overtook filmmaking on the how many fucking things there are.
Yeah, this is not one of the talent left on the side ones. This is in the former camp. So.
This is we've crossed the threshold.
Yeah, this is the trash camp. It is what it is.
But to my point, right? Like people love the bargain bin. Like you go by the bargain bin, you check it out.
Walmart, baby, $4.99. I got Cabin Boy. I got on DVD. I got The Way of the Gun. I found in there, which is actually a great movie. I used to
see what I mean.
I found all sorts of gems in there. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So you have to we have to use prices to separate wheat from chaff, but that doesn't mean that there is no market for the bargain bin. It's like the type of mentality or the type of person who would go on Reddit r/new. Like, there's a certain type of person who's like, I'm gonna browse through the new posts. Like, not for me. Like, not happening. I don't have that much time. But we do need people to be able to do that because, and I'm being a little bit facetious, but there is a really important component to this that I want to engender on IndieHub, which is you have early stage talent. One of the things that the industry has absolutely abysmally failed at is fostering young talent. And I want young filmmakers to come on here and be able to iterate and be able to hone their craft. From, let's say, you start making a movie at 15 or 16 or 17, you'd be able to hone that craft for 10 years before you're starting to make some very sophisticated pieces of work. And if you can put some stuff on IndieHub and some people find it, like, no, like, are you going to make $1 bajillion on some terrible short when you were 17? Like, no, but you're going to find some people who are interested in discovering talent and who are interested in fostering that. And if you make $500 back on a short, that's more than anybody's making right now, and you're motivated to continue doing it, and you build an audience, and you continue doing it, and you practice and practice and practice and hone and hone and hone. That does not exist in the industry right now, and it's a fucking shame. So I do want to have that ecosystem healthy and flourishing so the cream does rise. Is everyone Spielberg? Fuck no. But are we missing out on like at least 15 Spielbergs because of how the system functions right now? Yes, we are.
Yeah, it's the gatekeeping mentality, right? That the only thing they gatekeep is enjoyment for the rest of us. And we as the consumers are the ones who have to pay for, again, central planning and control over things, and the we know best mentality. Like, we'll tell you what you like, and then you get some random movie that comes out of nowhere. What was that Korean movie Parasite? Was that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, which was a great movie. I love that movie, but that got no anything or whatever, and some independent Korean person put it out, and then like it just kind of like grassroots caught on, and then all of a sudden it was the biggest thing ever. But no film studio or anything had any interest. And then, there's millions of these examples. I'm just, but how many more of those, how many more Parasites would that's got to be a better way to say that, but how many more of those type of movies would we get when we take the real parasites out of the equation? How many more Parasite movies would we get? So, but you got me thinking now. What you're talking about in terms of price signals and market economics, you're almost creating like a Sats or dollar denominated Rotten Tomatoes, where you it's always no one looks at the expert Rotten Tomato scores anymore. They all look to the crowd, right? Because they're like the value of the hive mind is much more valuable than a control group of experts. And there's some things there. Oh, but then you run into the problem of if I just thought the movie was a 3 out of 5, I'm not going to waste my time writing a review. It is what it is. Some people they could have, like me, I could have watched the greatest movie ever. I'm never going on Rotten Tomatoes to put a review on there just because I'm not. Nothing against the site or writing reviews. I'm not going to do it. And so, really, you have this mechanism to give a rating system, and this has always been the problem with ratings, right? It's like the only people going on are people that really love the product, really hated the product, or are paid to influence the outcome of the review. And now it's like you have the truest signal right to what are people actually valuing, what do they like, what is the rating, that actually you create sort of an informal rating system. Have you thought about that? I'm sure you have. Obviously, it's probably not groundbreaking.
No, yeah, definitely. Yes, I have, and I would really like to bring back, from a profile perspective, maybe like a Noster thing. I mean, we'll see how Noster shakes out, but I would like for great critiques to get revenue, to get tipped, to get zapped. I would like for people who have sophisticated quality opinions to be able to benefit and profit off of that, because there is a real value in that. I mean, what was the last like legit Siskel and Ebert? Like it's been a long time.
Probably Siskel and Ebert, yeah.
Right. And those guys were legit for the most part. It was like, yeah, maybe I disagree with him, but he's got a point. And there are plenty of people who want to sit around and have these arguments, and they should have these arguments because it is helpful and it is important. And I think in this kind of system, why wouldn't somebody who's super interested in this, has a great eye, has great taste, and is able to articulate it, why wouldn't they be able to get tipped, to get revenue, to get paid by people who value that, and maybe even have a career if you're that good at it? I would like to see that happen again in a more free market way. The reason those don't exist is because there's no direct energetic relationship. It's all the monetary technology doesn't exist for that to even make sense. Are we ever going to go back to those days? I don't know, but I definitely think there's a place for it, and I'd like to see it. I'd like to at least see people try it on the platform and see where it goes.
Well, and that's the other thing too, right? You talk about on sort of where we're going with social media and news outlets and everything like that. And the reason Nostr is so important is because people trust individuals, right? They say, I trust this person's reporting. I appreciate this person's point of view. I want to hear this person's opinion. The only thing that really matters is I know it's coming from them. And Nostr is the way to say, now we're in this sort of in-between period where you have a pretty good idea if you see it on X or Instagram or something like that. But again, that could all be flipped off tomorrow, just like our monetary system. Like, 99% of people can transact and do pretty much what they want today, but that can be turned off at the flip of a switch. And so for people, they probably will have, so to your point, like a Siskel and Ebert, they will have people they trust with movies, or back in the day, the video stores used to have like employees pick movies out, and then it was, which employee do I trust the most? Which picks?
Yeah.
There's a great Seinfeld episode about this. But for those of you that are in the Gen Z or younger and don't know what we're talking about, but you have this trusted relationship with someone that you can validate. And I think, having Nostr, something like that, where you can say, yes, it's me. Yes, I'm recommending this. And I think that would bring back a relationship from the past that is kind of gone now. It's interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we're like human beings, right? Like everything is trust. Everything is trust. It's the only real shorthand, which is why it's such a betrayal when you violate that. But it's really the only way to survive, You know, you can't take the amount of time it requires to become knowledgeable and everything. So it's like the technology has, we're finally catching up to the point where we can digitally have a relationship with somebody directly and it be trustworthy. It's like just starting to happen. Bitcoin is maybe the first tech, really, and then you have social things like Nostr, whatever. But I mean, I would love to see on IndieHub people be able to just share their library. I mean, I know there's a bunch of sites that are kind of doing this now. They don't have the exhibition side on them, but they have the whole social component that people really like. So I'll follow you. I'll see what your library is. I'll see what you've watched, what you haven't watched. There's tremendous value in that, you know, and the algorithms, I absolutely cannot fucking stand the experience right now of browsing on anything like Hulu, Disney, HBO, Netflix, all of it. It's garbage.
Atrocious.
It's literally every single time I just end up watching the dolphins on the Apple fucking screensaver, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's fucking, this is you know, that's better than whatever the fuck I was doing before. So it's like, and I my theory on this, you know, having thought about it, and at least for me, is that we're too spoon fed. Even toddlers don't like to be spoon fed, right? It's like, get the fuck out of my face. Like, let me just make the decision myself. So there has to be some element, and I put literally zero thought at all into the screening room for IndieHub right now. I've been way too focused on just making everything else actually work to really do this. But when I start working on the screening room, or what we would say like the browse or library, I really, really want the quote-unquote algorithm to be as far in the back as possible, and I want the emergence and the accidental discovery to play a much, much, much greater role. People want to feel like they're making their own decision. It's no different than when you're editing a movie or making a movie. It's just a movie is an emotional manipulation machine. It is necessary for the audience to have that experience organically. They have to come to that conclusion emotionally on their own. You cannot force it. And every time you force it, we all consider that a fucking terrible movie, right? Like I was just like cramming it down my throat. It was so literal, you know? So the browsing experience has to be something similar. It has to be some element of like, I found this, I discovered this, because no algorithm is going to be able to. All of us like to test the edge of what our comfort zone is, but in our own unique way. And so an algorithm is never going to be able to like pinpoint the exact weird thing that you didn't think that you'd like, but you ended up loving. That's what we want. We want to be surprised. I don't want to be like, well, let me go watch I mean, maybe some people do, but for the most part, I'm not like, let me go watch the thing that makes me the most comfortable every single day. You know, TV is a little different. You know, maybe you watch it at the end of the day. You're like, I'm just going to watch whatever I'm watching, just turn my brain off. But movies are so unique in the like, I want to have an experience. I want to be surprised. All of that is to say that for me, I really want to focus time on the browsing experience and making it as emergent and as accidental as we can, where audience members are really making their own decisions about what to watch and why to watch it. And we'll just try to provide them some relevant data to help them make the decision. And then the algorithm can maybe hang out in the background just to make parsing through the amount of movies a little bit easier, but not like, you know, here's what I think you should watch today, Brandon, you know, and it's like always like I wouldn't watch that and be like, well, fuck yourself. You know, like even if it's great, I don't like you, fuck off, you know.
But I find myself on YouTube, if I'm watching videos, I get annoyed when they're like, we think you might like this video. I'm like, I would like to find the video. And it's weird if I click on one of those, and maybe I'm weird and different, but well, that's definitely true. But when I click on those, I don't know. I just don't feel like satiated. I feel like I ate a bag of Doritos. Like I just got zero nutritional value, and like my hands are disgusting. I feel sick, and like I don't know. I just don't. Whereas if I go find something, if I go look it out, or even if I find the channel and I'm like, okay, I'm within the channel, and then I'm watching videos in this channel. Even that, it's like, okay, at least I discovered this, and Now, okay, yes, maybe I am binge watching a channel and I'm clicking through it, but it's like I found the channel, I feel good about it, as opposed to just some completely unrelated video that I would have never found in a million years, and they're like, watch this, and then, yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm predisposed to not liking it, but I just find myself watching it being like, I don't know.
Yeah, human beings have to. It's no different than when you're orange pilling somebody, man. Like,
Yeah,
everybody,
make it their idea. Yeah,
yeah, they and you can't even really manipulate that. I mean, like, I'm pretty good at orange pilling people, man, but like, they have to. There's a certain level of, there's a certain place that they just have to be in. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Like, so. It's kind of the same thing. It's like, even if you're recommending something that somebody for sure is going to fucking love, it doesn't really matter, because they have to come to that on their own. That's just part of the experience. And why rob someone of their journey anyway? Like, we all want, like, I want you to understand how fucking cool Bitcoin is. I get it. Don't you get it? But like, really, the journey was what was fun. It was for me. Like, I went from basically financially retarded to still retarded, but I know a little. I don't know. Maybe I'm more retarded. I don't know. But like, the journey was fun, and it's like, I actually don't want to rob somebody of their journey. Like, if they're at position A and they decide they want to start learning, call me and you'll have fun. But I can't. I don't know, whatever. I've tried to like beat it over people's heads. It doesn't work. Don't do it.
the worst feeling in the world is when you have something or know something that someone else would love, and then you recommend it to them, and like you push a little too hard, or it's just like, coming from me, maybe they're not gonna want to do this. They're gonna be like, okay, yes, we're friends, yes, we agree on some stuff, but our interests don't align, and so therefore I'm not gonna take his recommendation on this. And deep down inside, you're like, this person would, if they just found it on their own, they would absolutely, this would be like the perfect thing for them. They would absolutely love it. But you're like, I poisoned the well with my pushiness or influence or whatever. So
yeah, it's hard to rein in the excitement, but you do have to read the room. You kind of have, I guess you have like two or three options, right? You can force it. You can just let it be, or you could be a fucking dick about it, and you can be like, no, actually, I don't think that you should invest in Bitcoin. I don't think no, you shouldn't. I'm glad you're not. Have a nice day. Just like, really.
I haven't tried that one. Maybe I need to do that.
I mean, when people ask me like, oh, should I buy this shitcoin? And I'm like, yes, yeah, I think you should leverage your entire fucking house, and I think you should sell every fucking thing that you have, and you should buy this shitcoin, definitely. And they're like, oh, I'm like, well, you had no conviction, so no, you shouldn't buy it. Come on.
Do you have a HELOC open yet? If not, go do that tomorrow, and then we'll talk about how much of this you should buy.
Exactly. Can you get a line of credit on your line of credit? Can we get a lock? Get a lock on your HELOC and fucking go straight into that shitcoin, bro.
52% APR, no big deal. This thing's returning 62, dude. You're good.
You got your net 10, bro.
Yeah. God, your real returns are 10%, bro. Come on. I'm gonna start employing that method. I like that. So how many people currently, not people, let's rephrase that. How many viewing options are currently available on the website?
Pretty low. We split it. So early on, we kind of had a music video component, which I haven't really I haven't thought about at all. I haven't done any marketing at all, but
yeah, that seems tough.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. We'll see what happens. So if you take out music videos, I think we have like 90 things on there total. You take out music videos, maybe like 60 or 70. Something like that. And that, like, for anybody listening to this, I have spent so far almost all of my time and attention to make sure that the actual tech works. I have done
that's most
little,
work.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if the shit's broken. So just for anybody who pops on there, just know that we're early. This is extremely early. I'm just making sure that the actual technology functions flawlessly or as close to it as possible before I start really going out and doing a huge push to acquire or invite media onto the platform. So we're not quite there, but we do have some good Bitcoin movies. We got some good docs, some good shorts, just people that I've run into who are like, oh, this is cool. Yeah, I'll throw it up on there. Some pretty well-known Bitcoin docs that are worth checking out. Dirty Coin, Hummingbird, to name a few. There's one of my favorites on there is just this short film called Project by Michael Ocean, who's a Bitcoiner. It's nothing to do with Bitcoin. It was just a short he did that cracked me up. I thought it was funny. Just a solid little
comedy?
indie short. Yeah.
All right, I'm writing this down.
Yeah, Project. I mean, you might be like, man, this guy's retarded, but it's just a funny short film. If I saw it at a festival, I would have dug it.
Dude, those are always my favorite ones, like the weird, quirky, out there. You ever heard of a movie called Bottle Rocket?
Yeah.
It was like Wes Anderson's first movie he ever did.
Yeah.
Andrew and Owen Wilson were in it. They actually had their brother, Luke Wilson and their brother Andrew was actually in the movie too. He's like a big goof.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would always show that to people, and they'd be like, "This is the weirdest movie I've ever seen," and they're like, "Yeah, it's hilarious." So I love all the kind of weird out there stuff.
Yeah, we got a couple weird things on there. I don't know, this is like more of a confessional, but the real problem I'm going to run into is like you have to. There are so many fucking weird things that people will upload and be like, "This is a movie," and it's like it's not.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but then we get in this like the porn debate, right? Can you define porn? Like I can't, but I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. Is that a movie? No.
Yeah.
But I can't quantify exactly why not.
Yeah.
So it's that'll be a bit of a challenge. We'll see.
Well, I mean, I think what you're talking about though is certainly, obviously, as Bitcoiners, as master users, that there is a level of gatekeeping you want to avoid, of course, but at the same time, I don't think you're marketing yourself as a sort of like a free sharing video platform. You're basically saying we're a content hosting platform. It's the content we want to host, and here it is available for you. Does someone want to pay for this? So, personally, I don't, because again, someone else could go spin up their own indie hub and be like, we're gonna put all the sick weirdo stuff that people in Germany like, and that'll be our site. But for the rest of us, like, we're fine. I mean, there's a reason some people subscribe to Netflix, some people subscribe to Prime, some people have both, so, whatever. So I don't necessarily even think there's anything wrong with you as a content hoster providing a platform of stuff that that you deem appropriate for your site. Maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe I got to think about that more. But just thinking about it off the top of my head, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, you have to, for a number of reasons, right? It's the morally correct thing to do. It's the ethically correct thing to do. It's really the only legal path forward. You cannot just let people upload shit. There are absolutely sick fucking human beings out there doing disgusting shit. So
yeah, they're in the Nostr global feed.
Yeah, every one of them is on Nostr. No. So, but then so there's certain things that you're like, okay, I can't put snuff videos. I'm not doing porn, blah, 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 blah. Check the boxes, blah, blah, blah. But then you kind of get to this like, okay, is this like, yeah, I guess it's a movie, but it's so fucking bad. So it's like there's always going to be that line, and I would like, the idealist in me, the naive recovering, liberal would like to be like, yeah, let's just let the market suss it out, man. But like, that's not realistic. So there has to be some rough barrier to entry. And I think what I'm going to do is just say, like, in the beginning, because we got a two-sided marketplace, right? Like, you need an audience, you need films, but really I need films because there's no audience without films. So I think I'm just going to go try to vacuum up as many like decent festival movies that have been floating around for the last 20 or 30 years and turn it into a treasure trove. And just say, look, if you want an award at a festival that's like somewhat reputable, like you're in automatically. If you've been, official selection or up, you're in. If you haven't been, then it's kind of up to us, and maybe we'll make some special exceptions. But just anybody who's been in a festival, we're in, and then we can kind of let the market forces do their thing and let the data tell the tale. And as new people come onto the platform, they can just say, okay, here's the most watched, here's the most popular, here's the dopest shit, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, to that point, I don't think people even necessarily have a problem with I don't want to say curated content. That's not right, but like choice, hosting choices. It's that when people are lied to, that I apologize for the emergency vehicles in the back here.
They're shooting another episode of Chicago Fire right outside,
or just a shooting, unclear. But I think as long as you're upfront about it and people know, like, okay, this is what I'm signing up for. It's the reason people were so mad at X and YouTube and everything. It was because they lied. They were like, this is the public square. This is even if it was legally, even if they were legally right or wrong, it was that you told us that all content's welcome here, aside from, like you said, like, kind of porn, CSAM, that kind of stuff. But if you're just putting ideas out here, it's all welcome here. And then now all of a sudden it's not welcome here. And so it's kind of that rug pull of what you promise versus what you deliver. And like I said, I mean, people sign up for these streaming platforms all the time, and they're like, well, I like what Netflix puts on, I like what Prime puts on. And so I see nothing wrong with it as long as you're upfront about it. But that's just personally.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the main reasons I will do everything in my power to never take on advertising is precisely this reason, which is to say that I don't want films require a particular kind. It requires an appetite for risk, and it requires pushing boundaries, and it requires saying shit that's going to piss people off. It's fundamental. Like I'm as American as it gets with respect to that, and I don't want advertisers in the middle of that at all. I want that to be a pure societal artist relationship where they're having a back and forth, and they're deciding with each other what is appropriate and what is inappropriate. And there is no place for advertisers in that scheme, in my opinion. And so hopefully that's like the most idealistic kind of free market mechanism that works, which is to just say, as long as we keep advertisers out of it, then we can open up a lot more and let people just suss out what it is that's good, bad, or otherwise.
Totally. I think you got it. I think you're on it. So I know everything right now is on the web. I assume you'll be doing apps and stuff eventually where you can get all this onto your TV or your phone or whatever. But
yeah. Right now it's all just a progressive web app. Once we get that, pretty down pat, then we'll focus on some of the more bespoke options, TV apps, casting.
This is a bespoke app, unlike those other unbespoke apps. Yeah. Unlike
these commie advertising apps,
Yeah,
I mean, really though, I do want it to be, it's actually pretty expensive from an infrastructure perspective, but I do want this to be like where cinephiles, like movie nerds, really can kind of have a good time with it. Filmmakers should be able to upload like an extremely high resolution, like whatever their native resolution is, at whatever their native bit rate is, and really have full surround, like really let people have fun with it and do their thing. So I do want it to be as high quality from a cinematic perspective as possible.
Well, I only bring that up. I mean, maybe it sounded like a dumb question. Maybe it was a dumb question. Like, oh yeah, of course we're going to do an app, idiot. But the reason I bring that up is because I actually find some of these movies I want to watch, you have to go to the website and then you have to pay there. And it's like if you were just embedded in Prime or you were just embedded in something I had on my TV, I would be much I because I want to watch it on my big screen TV. If I'm gonna pay for someone's project and watch it, like I don't want to sit in my computer chair watching on my computer. And it's like, yes, I can take my laptop, I can get the HDMI cord plugged out, I can plug it in, I can change the input. I sound like the laziest piece of shit right now ever, but like yes, I could do all those things, but I would much rather just turn my TV on, find it, pay you for it, and go ahead and watch it. And so I, like I said, I just bring that up because I've noticed that that is an impediment for me when it's like I got to go sit down on my computer and watch this as opposed to just a simple click and play on the big screen.
Yeah, it 100%. And one of the things that really the only major thing that I'm waiting on. I think AI is going to fundamentally change this, but it's maybe impossible, if not excruciatingly difficult, to do an IndieHub app without having to do it Netflix style. Because if you have payments embedded in the app, then Apple says, well, we take 30% of all the payments that happen on this platform. And so we go, like, how? Well, it's all Bitcoin, man, you know?
Yeah. Oh, even better. Yeah.
Right. So they're not set up for that. They would probably just reject it and deny it. So it'll be interesting to see how app stores develop and technical stuff, capabilities improve. The first obvious solution is in the app to just basically not have payments routed through it at all and have that kind of going through a different server. Like with Netflix, you can't even pay on the app, right? You have to do it on a website,
right.
And it's because of that 30% thing. So, some interesting, of course, political, economic shenaniganery to figure out. But I do think that AI is going to fundamentally change that. Like, for instance, this is just one example. Like, going back to the screening room, to the library conversation for a second. Like, I envision a world here in the not too distant future where I put IndieHub out like as an API or something, and then I send you to a GitHub repo or whatever, and I say here is a base template for a movie library, just has all the components that you would need, and we tell you what all of our little endpoints are or whatever, like what data you have access to parse through, and then you can just whip up your own fucking viewer app on your own AI and just plug into IndieHub, and you can organize it however the fuck you want. like we're there. Like, this is possible, which is just totally mind-blowing, right? Because, I mean, think about how many billions of dollars these companies try to spend to be like, what's the perfect UI for like 8 billion people all doing the exact same thing? I think that's going to be dead. I think that's out the fucking window. And we're going to get to the point where kids are like, I'm just going to vibe code like my own player that just plugs into IndieHub, and I have my own library and it looks however the fuck I want, and IndieHub doesn't give a shit. Like that's a crazy, that is a paradigm shifting reality. So I think with respect to like home theaters and TVs and all that stuff, like I don't even know. I feel like things are just going to change so rapidly. I'm kind of just like waiting,
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, you could see that there's a path there. I was thinking more of like the apps on the TV, like when you have a smart TV and you download the apps there, which aren't in a like Apple App Store or whatever. They're in a. I actually don't even know how that. I don't even know what. Well, I guess with like the Fire Stick, right? If you're using that, let's say, that would just be I guess, an Amazon permissioned app store.
It's all kind of licensing and permission from whoever owns, Samsung, Roku or whatever.
Right.
It's all like custom deals you got to make.
Yeah. So I guess that's interesting. Do you know by any chance if those the sort of TV app permissioners, do they have the same thing as Apple, that they take a cut from revenue in the apps?
I don't off the top of my head. I'd have to double check. The last time I did this literally this was like pre-AI. This was like 3 or 4 years ago. And it was pretty complicated. You know, you really had to have something that kind of popped off, because the way they see it is like, hey, we've only got so much, you know, front row space here, and we don't want a bunch of weird shit on here. We just want people to recognize the names. Oh, Netflix. Oh, Hulu. Oh, whatever. So it's probably very different now. I'm not sure. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I don't know the answer either. But I do agree that it's probably just everything is going to be changing so quickly and crazily here. But then it's the constant like business question, right? If I'm not keeping up, you know, what am I just going to wait, and then I'm 3 iterations behind, and then so how do you manage along that keeping up, but also not spending a bunch of resources for something that's going to be obsoleted so quickly? Yeah, it's definitely a challenge in today's age for sure. Because I find myself using AI, I find myself doing stuff, and then at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to go 100% all in AI. I'm gonna let the kinks get worked out. But then it's like, well, if I'm not 100% all in on AI, I'm kind of falling behind. Like the people that are figuring out the kinks, like they're becoming more accustomed with the system, and now they have a lead on me. And is there a balance, or do you just kind of sprint to the end and accept the headaches that are going to come along the way? I don't know.
Ah, man, that's the question of our time. I have no answer. I can just give you my process on this. You know, I think this is why a lot of us are Bitcoiners, right? Because we want something that is consistent. We just want something. Like we just want, like, let me hold on to this rock, you know? Like I'm just so, like our generation, let's say, I don't know. I'm just going to broaden this out for brevity's sake. Let's just say, let's say 1900 to probably what will end up being like the 2200s, 2250, 2300, something like, whatever. I have no fucking idea, but you get my point. Like,
Yes.
we're the beta testers for all of humanity. Like our entire life, my entire life, all I have done is beta tested a bunch of new shit. Like I'm kind of sick of it, man. Like I just like, you know, like I think I have these like romantic ideas, like the blacksmith used the same tool for like 1,000 years, you know. Like I kind of want that, you know.
I definitely do. I fantasize about it all the time. I was at my grandparents. We were talking a little bit off the air. I was out in Santa Barbara. They lived in the same place since 1962. My grandpa's 91, and you know, they just live in a different world, and that world is they just kind of go about their day. There's nothing really pressing. They have their hobbies, and you know, they don't know anything about technology. I think you know, my grandpa doesn't even have a cell phone. My step grandma has an iPhone 6 or something. I'm not even sure they make the charger that they used back then anymore. Like I don't even know how she charges the thing. She like got to go to an antique store. But I left there, like I always leave there, you know, very relaxed, and obviously the weather in Santa Barbara and everything helps as well. But I just kind of left there like, man, I kind of long for this sort of existence in life. Like I mean, to your point, we're being thrown into this wood chipper of innovation and acceleration that's like, man, I kind of would just like to step out, relax, and just have the pace of things be somewhat stagnant, you know?
Yeah, 100%. So I don't know, you know, when I was young, I spent a lot of energy trying to have more stability, trying to like build shit that was like gonna last forever, you know, like I'll never have to think about it again. But like that's not the world we live in, man. Like it's not, you know. So I just realized I just had to be a better surfer, you know. I was like avoided surfing literally and figuratively, and I just got to get better at surfing figuratively, and I'm still avoiding it literally. So I don't know. It's like you gotta look, you can make the choice. Anybody can make the choice, right? You can go off grid. You can ignore all of this stuff. It's absolutely within your purview, right? That has that has a cost. There's always a cost to your decisions in life, and so you just got to decide if you want that to be your cost. But for me, like I want to build this platform. I want to try to solve this problem as best I can, and so I have to pay attention. I have to be kind of on the forefront of this stuff to some extent. I'm not the bleeding edge, but like I'm definitely not in normie land. So you have to have this. In my opinion, like you have to have the ability to let shit go incredibly fast. Like you have to be like super enthralled and then let it go. And it's just like constant energy coming through you, and you just can't hold on to any of it because it's going to go away. But it is useful for the next thing. And the reality is this is what we're doing. So take it or leave it, I guess. But it's definitely, I don't think the bleeding, but there's a funny saying, right? The first one through the wall always gets bloody.
Yeah. I
So
thought
maybe
the
not.
first guy through the door gets shot, but
Yeah, literally, yes.
yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's like you just got to kind of figure out a way to make it work, and but even with AI, like for IndieHub, I started IndieHub before AI was a thing, and then AI started kind of propagating and getting out there, and for a year or two, it was like, okay, this is okay. Like, I don't really know what the fuck I can do with this. It seems kind of cool. And then it was like, oh, wow, I can. Then the next model would come out, and it was like, oh, wow, I can use this to run a bunch of models. I can use this to run a ton of different pricing models, and I can upload our AWS cost structure into it, as well as whatever ideas I have about subscription pricing. And there's like insanely complicated math there that probably would have taken 5 Excel nerds, $200,000 in 6 months to figure out and do like a bunch of pivot tables. Where like I didn't have the money to do that, so I was like, holy shit, okay, that's useful. And now we're at the point where I'm actually using Claude to fuck with code. We have a very talented engineer who makes sure that I don't break anything, but I can now mess around on the front end and actually do stuff that would have been a huge waste of time for him and been financially unfeasible literally 2 months ago. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is like bleeding edge, you'll know when it doesn't work, but the second it starts to work for an objective that you have, man, you better be on it.
Yeah, you better be right. I mean, we here at Sovereign, how we envision the company going when we started has completely changed. I mean, we just rebranded the podcast a month ago because we were doing way less business stuff and way more individual stuff with people who wanted to become sovereign. And it was like, that's what the market's telling us. Business owners wanting to learn about Bitcoin and adopt it is just a much tougher road to hoe than this one. And not even tougher, like it's not like we just chose some easier option. It just, that's where the demand is. That's what the market's telling us. And we've had to pivot a few times and just iterate on what we're doing. And it's like, if you don't take those signals, if you don't see what's going on, if you're not ready to move, you're probably in GMI. So
yeah 100%.
But it's hard and it sucks. That's for sure. I don't want to say it sucks. It's cool. I shouldn't say it sucks. It's stress inducing.
Yeah, and it's like, when has running your own business not been, right? Like,
no, of course.
AI, no AI. Humans are relative creatures, right? It's like we always you got 24 hours in a day, and there's always somebody who's competing a few more hours than you are, and so you gotta like, if you're in the race, you're in the race, man. Whether the fastest human in the world in the 50s or 60s is as fast as the fastest human is today, sort of doesn't matter, because either way, if you're in the race, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, not to besmirch your prior lefty liberal roots, but that is one of my biggest one of the things that irks me the most is this idea that like labor is being unfairly treated, by the capital class. And it's like, of course, there's some cases of exploitation. I'm not talking about cobalt mines in the Congo, but like, you don't realize how much easier it is to just sign up to do work than to actually be running. Like the gap between what the capital class is doing and what you're doing is so astronomical. I like we need like a labor goes to the capital class for a year, like seminar or tutorial, or I don't know. Like they just need to live it and then be like, oh wow, this is really really difficult, and 94% of us failed. Maybe it's not so bad that we trade our time for a paycheck, as opposed to seeding investment money, trying to figure out something that works, and then employing people. It is such a massive disconnect. And I mean, how much untold strife has that caused throughout history? I mean, the entire Bolshevik Revolution was like based on this, and obviously all of communism and all the death and despair that's come from it. But it is they're just two completely different worlds and levels of difficulty that until you've actually done it, I just don't. Too many people have zero appreciation for it. But
Zero.
That was just an aside and a rant from me.
No, I agreed entirely. It's just zero. Like, go, the easiest example I think for most people is just like, I had somebody say this recently, like basically the standard communist line, like, oh, the labor, like, why doesn't the labor own the business? Like, go get a job as a fucking waiter or go start a restaurant.
Yeah.
You have two, and then let me know which one you accomplish faster. like, what are you talking about? This is ridiculous. Like, if you want to give people an equity stake and incentivize them, like, fuck yeah, let's go, but like, just you work on it, and therefore you have the responsibility and the right to it it's just absurd. It's absurd. And if anyone listening to this, the low chance of that, but if anybody listening to this doesn't think that's absurd,
we already established this is a trash podcast, so
you're a fucking idiot. Yeah. Oh man, or a coward. Maybe that's worse.
Yeah, one of the two. Oh man. All right, well, Zach, I mean, we could keep going here forever if I'm being honest here, but I feel like this is probably a good wrapping point. Any final thoughts or places you want to send people or anything before anything we didn't get to that you wanted to?
Oh man, I don't think so. I like to let the conversation roll. I would say I would just encourage anybody who is interested to go check it out. We need your support. We need people who are interested in building an improved alternative ecosystem. I guess I would say this, like to really, if you haven't figured it out by now, I'll say it more clearly. But right now, Hollywood, the film industry, Hollywood for lack of a better word, is suffering from an incentive issue. It's not suffering from a lack of talent problem. It's not suffering from it doesn't have any money problem. It's suffering from an incentive problem. And the streaming model fundamentally changed the incentive system in the film business. Prior to streaming, it was a pretty simple idea. It was a unit sales based business. You make a movie, you distribute it. Somebody buys a movie ticket. They buy your DVD. That movie, that revenue goes to the whatever legal entity owned the rights to that project. I'm oversimplifying it for brevity's sake, but it was a basic market, and that market functioned fairly well, as evidenced by the kick-ass movies we saw. Particularly in the late 80s, early mid 90s. I mean, really just some absolute bangers. So the market was functioning, and when streaming got introduced, like there's a lot of different issues here, but basically streaming introduced this mindless monthly payout, and then you combine that with the continued consolidation of publicly traded companies buying each other out, and you now have a system where you basically have a command and control economy. You have a handful of people who are at various high positions. Disney buys Hulu, Hulu buys whatever, blah blah blah. Now you got like 5 or 6 people who are sitting around deciding how to allocate the mindless capital that is coming in, because they're not allocating it on a per movie basis or a per second basis. And we're all suffering the consequences of that. Movies are objectively trash. They're trash. They are nowhere near as good as they used to be, and that is just an objective reality. So that is not for lack of talent, although we do run the risk of maybe skipping a generation and some of that wisdom not being passed down if we don't solve this problem as soon as possible. So all I'm trying to do is use new technology to patch up a fundamentally broken incentive system in an industry that is not going to go away. Film will change. It's going to branch. AI is going to fundamentally change all of this, no doubt. There's no doubt about that. But human beings, where stories are embedded at the deepest parts of our psyche. So that's not going anywhere. We can solve this with a fresh incentive system. So if you're interested in any of that, please come check it out. I'm readily available. You can complain to me. I will do everything I can to fix these issues. Load up your wallet. We're rapidly adding features, so we'll have dollar stable coins. We'll eventually have like euros and whatnot. It's all kind of Bitcoin pinned. And if you yourself or you know anybody or filmmakers that have shorts or docs that were festival darlings or just kind of laying around, please have them go to IndieHub and upload those projects. Everything sort of goes through me. I will check it out. I will approve it. We're just at the very tip of the spear. There's a lot of other stuff that I want to do and solve marketing problems for filmmakers as well. So we're at the very beginning of the game here. I encourage you to come out. Should be a good party.
I can attest that Zack will respond to your feedback. So go to indeehub.studio, INDEE hub.studio. Just play around with the stuff there. I mean, if Nostr is intimidating or you're not on Nostr, just use your email and do it kind of the old-fashioned way. But just play around with this idea of getting on a different platform. Try out the Bitcoin part of it. Send a payment in over Lightning. If you don't know how to use Lightning, reach out to me. I will explain to you how to do that, and just give it a try. It's just cool. The quality is great. The production is great. It's exactly like watching a 4K or super high def movie on whatever you're used to. Like, there's no suffering of quality or anything like that. Everything's incredible, and so just play around with it, see what it's like, get the kind of I think for me, even more powerful than sort of the viewing experience and supporting someone I know in Avi, it was just kind of like seeing the future. Like, oh my gosh, like this, of course it's going to work like this. Why wouldn't it? And so even that part of it's just cool. There's a whole bunch of different experiences you can get from it. So go check it out. As always, you can reach out to us at Sovereign, SOVREIGN.io. We'll always get back to you. I'm Plebianon on Nostr if you want to find me on there, and Brandon Karpeles on LinkedIn per usual. So Zack, thank you so much for joining me. This was awesome. We're definitely going to do this again. We're going to do a follow-up in, I don't know, whenever you feel like the next big leap is taken. Back to the great leap forward. We'll do that when that's been done. And
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great. Anytime. I really appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun.
Awesome, Zack. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Take it easy.